definitely says something about you as a human. You're essentially a house human, just like we have house dogs. You're a house human, and a house human is going to be attuned to certain things like the lighting inside the house, the air inside the house, the water inside the house. I was actually in the ocean yesterday, the crisp Pacific Ocean. And when you go into the ocean, you can really feel like a tuning fork. Like the ocean has its frequency and it tunes the waters of your frequency. I'm glad to see that there's some people in the comments saying, I'm outside right now. I'm outside right now. Danielle, Lorraine says that. Katie Reed says, I've been grounding and getting sunshine. Yeah, you guys, let me know what's going on with your outdoor etiquette. Walked outside 20K steps a day. Grounding is the best. Strengthens kidneys. The sun is another thing that's outside, right? And when you're outside during the day, there's sun shining on your entire body. And we have melanin inside of our body, but we also have melanin inside of our eyes. And there's photoreceptors in our eyes, especially getting the sun that's coming above. And of course, when the sun lowers down to the horizon, that sun is directly in your face. And there's a practice that many people follow called sun gazing. And many have said that that is dangerous. However, yes, if you just go out in the middle of the day and you're not practiced and stare at the sun, that would be similar to somebody who's not exercised their entire life going and running a marathon. There is a practice to this, and there's things to consider, like when to do this. I would just start with watching the sunset right when the sun's about to cross the horizon, or the sunrise right when the sun is coming up from the horizon. And that's really going to fill in the missing components of light in your body. You can start with 10 seconds even. There should never be pain. Getting a comment here, which I'll get to the comments in a second. If you have any questions about sun, sunshine, sun gazing, sun tanning, let me know. But just to continue on, there should never be pain when you're experiencing the sun on your skin, on your eyes, anywhere. The sun is very powerful and we can definitely fry our circuits. We are made to interact with the environment though. Everything that is a technology of the body is made to collaborate, to integrate, to transmit information with the field around you, because we are one with the field around us. Whether we know this or not, it is definitely happening. And just to give you guys an example of that, think about your breath. The breath cannot only exist inside you. You are one with the exterior, we'll put that in quotes, of your body. Same thing with water. Same thing with food, light, ideas, experiences. We really can't bring the experience of life to be without everything around us. We are connected. Slept on the beach in the light of the epic full moon last night. That sounds amazing, with waves crashing. And why is that full moon so, it's bright. It shines on us. It gives light to the darkness, and it's also a reflection of the sun. Scotty says, barefoot sunrise. I don't know if you like to be called Scotty, but for some reason I did that. Barefoot sunrise, hike daily, rain, sleet, snow, or shine. Barefoot sunrise, hike daily, rain, sleet, snow, or shine, because he's coming from northern east coast of America, New York area. A lot of people have problems with the cold. So many people have problems with the cold because they're inside their house humans. They're used to that 72 to 78 degrees that they put on their thermostats, and that's all they can tolerate. Outside most of the day, move my office to my deck, which is amazing. I would see if there's a piece of concrete that's usually grounded, or some dirt in your backyard, or even grass in your backyard, that you can at least have another table with a chair, or even I like to just sit on the ground and then use a chair as my desk. It seems to be kind of a perfect level, especially if I have a meditation cushion on the ground and it props me up and I'm using the chair as when you're sitting cross-legged as well, it opens up your legs, which is exposing the largest solar cells of your body, which are those on your thighs. That's also where your blood gets made, in those femur bones. There's a lot of things that are happening in the trunks of your body. And so have them grounded and exposed to the sunlight allows you to bring in the full spectrum of power that your body is craving. Do you know supplements which make you interact with the sun easier? That's an interesting question. I'm not sure exactly what it means. I'm thinking that maybe what it means is allow you to tolerate the sun, but I'm actually going to go in the opposite direction. If you guys take niacin, a strong dose of niacin, which makes your body flush, right? It's opening up the capillaries in your body, which is making your skin red. And if you guys go outside while that's happening, you're going to notice a special interaction with the light. And so take niacin, 100 if you're sensitive, 500 to 1,000 if you want to go beast mode on it, and then go outside when you're flushing. It's going to feel nice. And then your skin's actually going to interact a little bit differently than it normally does. This actually allows you to get a deep tan faster. Okay, Destiny Lopez is saying, sun gazing stimulate almost all parts of the brain, even the gray matter that mainstream media knows little to nothing about. I'll take that. How does sun gaze exactly? Lunar eclipse last night looked wild here in Texas. Very interesting. Looked like someone took a bite out of the top of the moon over here. I do not love the cold. I just accept it. That's the practice, right? Yes, beautiful full moon, but the energies don't feel very good, very off, and felt stressed. Yes, we noticed that as well. As Chris Witecki was saying, that the astrology that's happening around us is a mirror of what's actually happening in reality. It can even be behind what's actually happening in reality. I never noticed anything with full moons. I mean, I studied psychology, so I heard about statistics that there's an increase of crime that's happening during full moons. Even the stock market is perfectly correlated with full moons. There's a saying, I think JP Morgan said it, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. And we also know that kings and queens throughout all of history all had astrologers and or oracle type figures that were also using astrological data, sort of like a weather report. When to go to war, when to do this, when to do that, when to harvest the fields, when to sow the seeds. We're all connected. What's the moon we mentioned, the sun we mentioned, these are the closest to us. Well, actually, there's other planets as well. My wife, who's an architect, made a good example the other day. She said, if you bring in an item into the room that you're in, like let's say you just bring a cabinet. Actually, she's constantly rearranging our house because of this. If you guys bring a column and just place it next to you while you're sitting in your living room, you could just imagine this, or even just go get a chair and put it on the couch next to you. You're going to feel the energy shift. And we all can do this experiment. We can feel energy shift when spatial arrangement shifts. And that's what's happening with these bodies around us. What Donnie thinks about burying people in the ground for vitalization. I've buried myself in the ground. What Donnie thinks? I don't know what that means. What do you think about burying people in the ground for vitalization? Yes, do it. Just like the plants do. Did I finish sun gazing? I don't think so. Yes, I have done niacin detox using sauna. Nice. Skin brushing as well. Skin brushing. Get that outside layer of expired skin cells off of you so that you can detox and then also accept the solar rays more. Roz, it's safe to use a sauna while on a prolonged fast. I would say that you should be doing stuff like saunas, walking, cold therapy, breath work while fasting, because we need the detox pathways cleared. The skin is one of the main detox pathways that we have. The lungs are another detox pathway. And then we have the liver and kidneys as well that detox through the digestive system. And so when you're fasting, you're at an accelerated rate of detox. Your body's going through autophagy, which means autophagy. It means self-eating. Your body's eating itself. It's taking over the dead, damaged, broken cells, and it's replacing it with stem cells. So when you guys fast, your body is thinking that you're going into a winter time. You're really just stimulating a winter time. I mentioned house humans. Another thing that houses gave us was prolonged summertime because we have heaters. So we have this infinite summertime, both from a temperature standpoint and also a food standpoint, because we have things called grocery stores. So we have grocery stores which provide us food all year long, and we have temperature gauges in our house that provide us temperature all year long. And that's going to be in a spring, summer type weather and food. I guess going even into the fall, there's food. So we're getting spring to fall food, never wintertime food, which wintertime food is called nothing. It's called there's snow and ice on the ground covering everything. You're barely eating in the wintertime when there's very few hours of sunlight. What are you doing in the wintertime? What are the animals doing in the wintertime? They're hibernating. We don't exactly go into a hibernating as mammals. So other mammals like us hibernate. We don't exactly go that far into that, but we would definitely, if we were not house humans, if we were actual outdoor humans, we would have less activity, less sex, less eating, and our body would be going into an autophagy state for the wintertime. The body relies on winter to do the cleansing. It also relies on you sleeping every single night to do the cleansing. So you can look at sleeping every single night as a micro cycle, and then the yearly cycle as a macro cycle. And a micro cycle is every single night we're doing these micro detoxes and cleansing the stuff in the brain, the fluids in the body. That's all happening at nighttime. And then the macro cycle of the year gets deeper. And as I said, autophagy is cleansing the dead, damaged, broken, repaired cells. It's actually repairing them, dead, damaged, broken cells, and it's replacing them with stem cells, which our body produces our entire lifetime. And our stem cells are stored in our fat. Why are they stored in our fat? Our stem cells are stored in our fat because our body is relying on the wintertime. In the wintertime, the body's accessing fat for energy. Why? Because it's not eating as much. So the body's very smart. It's tuned to this. So when your body goes to get energy from the fat, voila, there's also stem cells in there. And I'm making this very simplistic. It's a little bit more dynamic than this. But voila, there's a stem cell in there. So not only is it converting the fat into usable energy, it's also finding stem cells, which then float through the body. And stem cells are only going to replace dead, damaged, or broken cells. And that all gets facilitated in the wintertime. So a fast is a simulated wintertime. Just like sun gazing is simulated us just being outside during sunset and sunrise, which we would be doing every single day. There was a question how to sun gaze. Start with 10 seconds. The next day, do 20 seconds. The next day, do 30 seconds. All very low to the horizon. There should never be pain. Always be pleasant. If you increase 10 seconds at a time, you're going to eventually get to a minute. After 6 days, if you have sunshine with no clouds, the cloudy days just skip. And then the next day, continue on. And after 9 months of 100% sunny days, you're going to be at about 44 minutes. But it's going to take longer than 9 months because very few of us are living in areas where it's sunshine every single day. Actually, nobody is living in that area like that. So for me, it took about 2 years to get, a year and a half really, to get to 44 minutes. And I continued the practice for 2 years, and I developed a really strong relationship with the sun. You learn things about yourself. You learn things about the light when you're showing up consistently every single day. And having this essentially, it turns into a meditation. It turns into a connection with a greater version of yourself. You can look up more about that by just looking up HRM method, and you'll learn how sun gazing works from his perspective. And then you can fill in what seems just like woo-woo. You can fill that in with your own research into science of how the body interacts with light from a melanin standpoint, an eyeball standpoint, a skin standpoint, a hair standpoint. The body's interacting with melanin to grab onto light. I don't sleep well during full moon. If moon moves water, it moves water blood in your system. Exactly. Tidal exchanges are greater during full and new moons. Yes. Yes. And yes, I love scrubbing it off on the beach, talking about the dead skin cells. I've seen lots of video on lymphatic draining. My face is swollen and I'm dehydrated today. What's best for this? When was the last time you took a walk outside? Inflammation is a key indicator of aging. In fact, there's a term, it's called inflammaging. And one of the greatest ways, which is free and natural to decrease inflammation, is to ground your feet into the earth. All of our electrical appliances are grounded for the safety and the ability of function. We ground the electricity of an entire house is grounded to the ground. The body needs to recalibrate its charge with the ground, and that charge is going to make dramatic changes in your hormones, in your weight, if you're overweight, in your behavior, in your thoughts. There's usually simple solutions for everything. It doesn't have to be complex. So the question is, my face is swollen and I'm dehydrated. And my answer is, go outside, take a walk. What's the walking doing? Another way, if you don't want to go outside, is what? Rebounders. Rebounders are little trampolines. It's simulating. Everything's about just simulation of what we would normally do. It's simulating walking. You're bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. And yes, you can get done more in a shorter amount of time because it's making you go up and down a lot more aggressively. So it's almost, there's a point when you rebound, or even when you just walk or run, that you're weightless. Your body's going up and down, up and down. And it's in that in between that there's movement happening in your lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is able to drain. Well, here we go. Kundalini Rose says jumping helps or get bouncy, great for lymphatic draining. Do you know something for the adrenals after burnout? Do you know something for the adrenals after burnout? Go outside. And I'm completely serious. Stare at a tree. Go outside and connect with a tree. There's actual studies about people that stare at buildings versus people that stare at trees. Their anxiety decreases, their depression decreases, their compassion increases. During this one specific study that I'm thinking about, during the study, the participants were either staring at a building or staring at a tree, and somebody walked by and dropped their briefcase and spewed out all the papers, and almost all the people staring at the tree helped the person. Statistically significant amount of people less didn't help the person who were staring at the building. When you stare at a tree, you have the leaves. Number one, it's sound healing. It's making non-invasive frequency by sound patterns, and then also light. If you guys have ever been underneath this machine called Pandora Star, it's basically just flashing white lights. There's several devices. I know somebody who invented one that has like a fan that you close your eyes and you look up at the sun, and it's like a fan that is breaking up. It's not breaking up the light. It's segmenting the light. And when you're looking at the leaves of a tree through the tree into the light, that's happening. It's those patterns of light. I don't know the science on that, but I do know that there's machines that are using that to stimulate your pineal gland. So try that out. Watching red-tailed hawks right now outside, and crows as well. They compete for territory here in Southern Oregon. Red-tailed hawks are the ones that make the sound, right? That I think those are that's the sound that they use for the bald eagle, which the bald eagle sounds laughable, but United States, I think, inserted the red-tailed hawk sound, and that's the sound that we associate with the bald eagle, because the bald eagle sounds like a wuss. It's sunny every single day in South Texas. You are light. The sun is our light, fuel, and information. It's often sunny out and raining. So that's another thing that you learn is the patterns of weather. You learn what's going on. For me, like what's going on in the ocean, like with the tides, what's going on with the clouds, with the marine layer. You gain a relationship with nature. And this is what indigenous people all over the world had. They knew the energies of the wind. If the wind's coming from the north, it means something. If it's coming from the south, it means something else. Coming from the east and the west. Waves, same thing. There's a book, I might be misremembering this, so I just would like to give a disclaimer for that. But I think in the book called Way Showers, they're talking about Hawaiian, like native Hawaiian or islanders from the Pacific Ocean who are sailing in the Pacific Ocean thousands of miles to other islands. Think about that. You leave an island and you go to another island that's 1,000 miles away. And again, I might be misremembering this, but what I think I remember is that they would tie their nutsack with a rope, with a string, to the front of their boat, and that would give them relationship with the waves so that they can feel waves that are bouncing off islands hundreds of miles away that they can't see yet, but they can feel the subtle differences in how the waves are bouncing off the boat. Once again, there might be some details in there that are different, or maybe it wasn't even the book, The Way Showers, but I think it is, because I think Wayfinders? It might be Wayfinders. But interesting. There's a lot to learn in nature. And if you guys start looking into our great minds like Tesla and even Einstein, which I know a lot of people have some hate on, but these people, we don't really know who they were, because what actually got through the filter of the control mechanisms of their time, where they had to say certain things to make it so that they get published articles or that their technology gets used, because they're fighting this system that doesn't want true free technology that helps humans to exist. So when we look back in history and we hear about these figures, even some very, very bad ones, look at what's going on right now and how the news portrays the people that are actually representing the people. So the people that actually have the greatest intention to support the people on the planet usually have very, very, very bad reputations in the media, because the media is representing the companies that are enslaving humanity. You have a figure that's stepping up saying, hey, I invented an engine that runs on water, or I have a free energy device, or I know of some things that some very bad people are doing all over the world, and I would like to let everybody else know about it. These are the people that are made to look very, very crooked. And so when you think about history, just know that all of that's been filtered. We're usually taught about the opposite of what was actually really going on. Does the time of the day matter to ground? Interesting question. This is the relationship that I was talking about. You guys will build that relationship. Now, just to answer your question quickly, I would say the morning offers a conductor on the surface of the earth called water. We have a natural conductor on our feet, which is why there's the most sweat cells. What is sweat? Water and an electrolyte. Salt. What is a battery made out of? What is electricity like to flow through? So we make our own conductor that helps us connect to the earth on the soles of our feet. Sole. Why is it called the sole? On the soles of our feet, we make our own conductor. In the morning time, there's also water all over the ground that allows you to connect, especially on surfaces like grass, where the actual grasses can act as an insulation, even though I've done tests and I feel like it still grounds you. But water will get through everything. Why do you think I feel more revived at night than during the day? I did have a third brain injury in 2016. My system feels so alive. There's many answers to that. It can be a whole bunch of different things. There's different organs working throughout the rhythms, the 24-hour cycle, the circadian rhythm. And the ones that are operating at night might be very functional for you, which allows you to have an increase in energy. There's a whole bunch of other things too. Astrology. There's how you just have a personal program, a personal preference, how you've trained yourself throughout your life. But this is up to us to have a relationship for ourselves, for us to design our life around these things, then also realize the benefit and the negative to all of these. So like if you're at night, if you're working till 3 a.m. and that's where you produce your best efforts, take care to recognize that you're going to be maybe deprived of daylight, and then you have to take an extra effort to go out into the sun on the times that you're awake, because there's going to be minimal time. And also be careful with the screen light. Be mindful of that. Severe iron deficiency, any natural and easy solution you can advise? Other than dark green vegetable juices is going to give you the minerals that you need. When I had adrenal fatigue earlier on, I spent 9 to 5 every day outside, and that definitely made a huge difference in my healing. Oh, great. We're on to this. So somebody's validating what I said. Burnout means you're overload. So yes, outside is best. Get grounded, sit under a tree and sun gaze. Thank you, people. Wave your fingers in front of your face while looking at the sun works well. It's like you're waving at the sun. What's funny is I feel like I can conquer the world at night, and then I sleep, and then everything flattens out during the day. Believe me, I do like the sun, but just feel sad or unmotivated during the day. The impact that the sun has on you isn't just when you're outside. The sun is doing a lot of things in you that are actually affecting your nighttime self. The nighttime self, if not exposed to the sun during the day, is not going to have the same capacities. So the fact that you're alive and aware at a certain point, that's actually good news. Some people don't have that at any point during the day. So don't only feel that because I'm inside is when I feel best, that at nighttime, that's your environment that you belong in. However, with that said, you can definitely experiment and see how that goes, see how you feel. Don't go outside for a while and then go outside and see the difference. Again, this is all about a relationship. You might not have the need for sunshine that I have. I definitely know I have an extreme need for sunshine. Look at, I've got photoreceptors that's very, very dark in my eyes, in my hair, and on my skin. There's a need for me to be in the sun. My body desires it. It's designed to be in the sun a lot. It requires it. So it's a chore isn't really the word I would like to use, but it's the definition of what makes sense. It's a chore. Like I eat, I take energy investment and I put it into quality food and time to eat. I do the same thing with going outside into nature. Sun gazing to heal double vision. So there's a book written by Jared Lieberman, Dr. Jared Lieberman, who's a eye doctor. He wrote a lot of books on eyeballs and light. One of them's called Light Medicine of the Future, which is where I would start in that book. He talks about how the eyes have cords, one coming off the eye that goes to the occipital lobe, which I learned about in psychology school, which is what processes vision. And then there's another cord off the eye that goes to the is it the hypothalamus? It goes to the, I don't want to say the wrong thing here. Yeah, I think it's hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal gland. And those three things are determining what nervous system you're functioning in. It's determining all the hormones in the body, which is what the pituitary, the master hormone center, is doing. And then the pineal gland, which is recalibrating, refreshing the body when you're sleeping. And that's all happening as a result of the information coming into your eyes, which is light. Your eyes are what's translating this energy that we know of as light into a vision. That's all happening inside our occipital lobe. We're translating it into vision. So now we're seeing what we think is light, but is really the opposite. The things that we look at that are orange are actually reflecting out orange. And it's keeping everything, all the other light, visual light spectrum. It's keeping the yellow, and it's taking a little yellow, but it's keeping all of the other colors like blue, and it's reflecting out orange. So the orange book that I'm looking at right now is everything except for orange, because it's throwing orange back out. Anyways, we're making vision happen in our brain, even though it's not happening that way out there. It's just we're making it up. And then also we're taking the information, we're making the internal environment, hormones, which are going to lead to thought patterns, which is going to lead to body adaptations. What happens when we sleep, that's all happening based on the light that's coming into the eyes. That's all explained in this book, Light Medicine of the Future. He also has another book that's called Illumined Sight, something like that. So those of you with eye issues and would like to know how the eyes interact with light, look into Jared Lieberman, Dr. Jared Lieberman. Thank you, Rob, for helping wake people up. Thank you guys for the comments and questions. Look at the fiber content of socks. They now have, thank you for bringing this up because I didn't go into this. They now have nylon and rubber and spandex and other synthetic fabrics. My feet can tell the difference. Yes, mine as well. I have been wearing organic socks and underwear for like at least 13, 14 years. No. Where am I at? Anyways, around 15 years. I've been using this brand called Pact, and I've been buying their underwear. And they only used to sell socks. Then I think they went underwear. And that's the only, and I don't really wear socks that much anymore. But if I put on like a performance pair of socks, which I tried a lot when I competed in CrossFit, or anything that has polyester in it, my feet smell different. They feel different. You're going to be swollen. Your feet are not going to be able to breathe, not going to be able to interact with the world. They're more slippery on surfaces inside your house. They're just pretty much garbage. I don't know why. The reason why they use them is because you can put fancier patterns on it. And probably there's a greater agenda that emphasizes these technologies that reduce our capacity as a human. If you don't believe me on that, go to a car dealership right now and try and buy a vehicle like I just did. I had to go to car dealership after car dealership after car dealership, trying to buy like the most opposite of an electric vehicle, which is a Jeep Wrangler. 95% of Jeep Wranglers at the dealerships are hybrid. They have electric engines. I've driven Teslas for 6 years, and we want to get out of the EMF. It's extremely damaging to us. We've been ignoring it for super long time, and we've been noticing differences in the health of our bodies since we've been riding them. We can feel the fog in our brain as we're in these cars. It really became apparent when we went to Europe for a month and we were renting vehicles. We were renting gas-powered vehicles in these countries, and they weren't anything special, but they were just, they were like not as good as our Tesla we paid 140 G's for. And we felt so much better in these vehicles. So now we're like, okay, let's get rid of these Teslas, and we're going to go buy gas-powered vehicles. They don't even exist. I mean, they exist, but it's very difficult. And the salesmen push you. Why don't you want a 4xe is what they're called instead of 4x4? No, I don't want electric. I don't want electric at all. They just kept on coming back to like, let's do electric. So that tells me that they have some incentive. Somewhere there's an incentive to make electric vehicles, to force electric vehicles onto buyers, to guide people into that. That's just a modern day shaping of the industry that the salesmen don't know that they're doing. I mean, Jeep as a whole might not even know it, but there's definitely policies and incentives that are put on this type of vehicle. Who's behind that is up to us to guesstimate on why that's happening. Is it for the environment? Is it to reduce our capacity? Is it to addict us to the grid? Is it to control us? It's up to all of us to make that decision. I'm just telling you my experience that it's definitely an agenda. What do you think of daylight savings? I get thrown off. It takes me almost a month to feel. I haven't had a schedule ever, so it's hard for me to, like, I don't have to go to work. Like, I don't have to wake up at a certain time, like 8 a.m. every morning or 5 a.m. every morning. So daylight savings doesn't really affect me. It hasn't, since I closed my gyms, I haven't been waking up with an alarm clock, but I should start. Probably more beneficial. I'd have better impact in society if I woke up at 5 a.m. every single morning like I used to. But it's hard for me to assess because I don't really use the clock to wake myself up. I wake up with the sun when the sun tells me to. Do you ever do one-on-one calls? I do not. I used to. I do not. No, I don't. Short answer to that question. I don't do one-on-one calls. I'm providing this for free, and I got rid of my Tesla as well. And if people want to work with me, you sit at the table with me and we build something together. We build something that's going to benefit us and benefit humanity. We help detox people, nourish people. We help regenerate human beings to be their full capacity with Purium superfoods. And we do that in network marketing fashion, which is, in my perspective, an ascended business model. So I partner with people in business and we build things together. And that's where we go through actual life lessons that have immediate feedback, high consequences. It pushes you past your boundaries, pushes you past your goals. These are the things necessary to get people into flow state. Clear goals, intensely focused attention, There's a book called, speaking of books, The Rise of Superman by Stephen Kotler. I think that's right. The Rise of Superman. And he goes over the ingredients for flow state. And I actually just gave a presentation last night. So I was talking about flow state. And so I've just mentioned some of them, but let me just get out the full list right here of the ingredients for flow state. Intensely focused attention, number 1. Number 2, clear goals. Number 3, immediate feedback. Number 4, a challenge slightly greater than capacity. So you're doing things that are like 103, 104% of what you're capable of, so that you're forced to reach into yourself and grab on to something greater than you to help you through the challenge. High consequences is the 5th one. 6th one is rich environment. 7th one is deep embodiment. So we're able to do all of those within the business. And if we're successful, you get paid and I get paid. And that's how I work with people. I don't charge people $300 an hour. I used to sit and listen to me tell them do things, because that doesn't work. We need to actually have feedback, right? Which is one of these. We need to have clear goals. We need to have and facilitate intensely focused attention on a task that has an enemy. And our enemy is corporate America that's poisoning everybody in this country, making them non-functional humans. And so we have a solution to that. We can detox from these herbicides that are poisoning us, and we can give people a way to nourish themselves. And that's the goal. And we have immediate feedback, and we have high consequences. There's high consequences. I completely multiplied my income as a gym owner with this. That's a high consequence. The other reverse of that is we remain sick, and some of us financially dependent on the system, unable to make our own choices in life. And so those are the consequences that we're fighting against. All right, so brain injuries. There's a lot of things that we deal with as humans. And if we get addicted, it's great for us to be striving for a promotion and open to a promotion. It's this paradox, though, that especially as we go through life, we begin to also, at the same token, envelop this notion of acceptance. So even though we're creating reality as we're going through this, part of the game is we aren't staying here forever. And so as our internal gnosis and soul, our relationship to that grows, our physical body, our physical mechanism starts to leave us. And for some of us, it might be things like arthritis. For others, it might be hair loss. For this gentleman in the chat, it might be brain issues, knee issues, nerve issues, breathing issues, skin issues, saggy skin, overweight. And it's this paradox that we all get to play with. Because if we're just attached to our body, we think to ourselves, well, if I can create anything, why is my body breaking down? Why can't I change this? And some of us are able to change it. I'm not discounting that fact. We all have an ability to touch the pulse of our physical body and to create an environment that allows our self to express in its fullest capacity through this physical body. I have also been in the industry of health and wellness for over 20 years. And so I've watched people over 20 years get healthier, some of them, as they spend more time here, and some of them go in the opposite direction. I have experienced my own versions of this. And so there's a lot going on. It's very dynamic. We're growing in one aspect and getting more vibrant and youthful. And I would say what I've noticed is that's happening on a non-physical level as we flow through life. We're grasping on to concepts that are beyond our physical body. We come here as a non-physical entity, and we are granted we're choosing this body that grows. And in the beginning part of our life, we're developing a relationship with our physical body. And then eventually we realize that the body is just a connection to this non-physical self, which is really where we are, where we exist. We exist one with everything. And as we start to connect into that and plug into that, we realize that there's the time, which is here and now, this moment, that we're here trapped within the confines of linear time and the laws of physical space. We have this playground to express all that is us into this spacesuit, this spaceship that we call our body. And this body wants to grab a hold of us so that we identify only with it and that we serve only it. And we get to play, like I said, it's a paradox. We get to play with serving our body and also at the same moment holding the construct that we are much more than this body. And those of us that go through this practice are able to transition and graduate sometimes within this life where we lose capacities of our body. And for all of us, it's going to happen in the moment of what we call death, where we don't cease to exist in death. The body quits functioning. And without going too far into this, there's nothing that stops except for the physical body. And so the question is, how much do we identify with the physical body, the brain included? The brain is not, don't make a mistake that the radio is creating the music. The radio is not creating the music. The radio is a receiver. There's not little people inside there singing. The radio is a receiver. Our body, our DNA, the structure of the antennas in our body are receiving the signal that we identify as ourself. And so even things like the brain that hold things like memory is not in the brain. There's nowhere that we've found memory. Like there's nothing we can point to that says like, this is the hard drive with all your memories. There's definitely parts of the brain that are active when we're in the process of remembering, but the actual files of those memories, we don't know what those are. Why don't we know what those are? Because what we know what those are from a conventional standpoint, obviously, I'm suggesting that there's something else, another gnosis of where those are. It's in the field, it's in the source, or the Akash from an Eastern standpoint, or from a religious Western Christian standpoint, it's with God. The brain is accessing that, but we don't know where those files exist within the brain. So even if we're losing our capacity to remember, our memories, our life is not lost. It's not like it's gone away from us. We will be reunited with everything that has ever existed. It's crazy to think about, but I'll leave you guys with that. If our consciousness is not inside of our brain, if our mind, so in Eastern philosophy standpoint, the goal is to be without mind, to be free of the mental chatter. That is clarity. To be in the moment is another way of saying it, to be present. That's when you are in this, quote, enlightened state. And so see if you can practice with that. See if you can practice with this notion that you do not exist in the body, that the body is grasping just a little piece of you and it's experiencing it, gave it a name, gave it a body to walk around, and we're here now. And it's up to us to live our greatest self. That is the responsibility. That is why we're here. Take care, everybody. See you next week. This weekend, if you're in LA, Anaheim, Orange County, or San Diego, or anywhere close like Vegas, Saturday, 9 a.m., doors open till around 3. We're going to have an awesome time in Anaheim with Human Garage Crew. Go to humangarage.net for that. And then we're also in Miami in a couple weeks. I'll see you there.